And that was the biggest thing for me. It wasn't about other people's reaction to myself. It was always about my own reaction to my expression or my identity that really mattered, and I really had to like kind of let go of a little bit. I had to just expand my own idea of who I was. Hello, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. If you are new, welcome. We are all about creativity and self-expression and identity and positivity and encouraging each other to live our freest lives here on this channel. So if you agree with that, yes, you've come to the right place. And if you don't agree with that, feel free to leave a negative comment down below and fuel my fire and my passion for what I'm doing. Would love that. So today we're gonna talk about a very near and dear topic to my heart, which is style, or specifically my style journey. So how I came to wear what I wear and express myself as I do. This is an idea that I got from Mace over on Blazed and Glazed, an amazing YouTube channel. She's all about positivity and fashion. Go check her out. I will link down below. I'm really excited about this video because it's so easy to see other people doing something different and just think to yourself like, oh, I could never do that. I do it all the time, like when I see amazing drag performers and I'm like, there's no way I could do that. But I fail time and time again, and I see other people doing this, to recognize the progress, like how long it took to get to that point. So what I wanna do here today is share with all of you how I came to wear what I wear. People say to me, you know, you're so confident, you're so brave, or how do you wear what you wear? And I realized that they're only seeing like the finished, I mean, not finished, but the very far along progressed part of me, and not like all the intermediate steps that it took to get here. So I didn't just pop out of the womb wearing like amazing, glamorous, fun outfits by any means. A couple years ago, I never would have dreamed that I'd be wearing what I'm wearing right now, or what I wear day to day. So I just wanna like take you along and share some of those benchmarkers so it just can demystify like how I can wear and feel confident wearing what I do and expressing myself how I do. So let's get started. I want to begin where I began with my coming out video, which I will link to also down below. And that is in childhood. I was a really creative kid. I loved imagination games. I loved dressing up and playing like make-believe. I have so many fond memories of like having a costume bin and just like putting on looks and having my sisters or my cousins do makeup on me and just feeling like that was really fun and allowed. And then of course, like, you know, fast forward a couple years and people start forming more of an identity, and it's more rooted in their gender, and the rules, I'm putting that in big air quotes, seem to be a little bit more like solidified, where it's not as okay to just wear whatever you want to wear all of a sudden. You know, middle school was a time for me where I did not dress up much at all, especially not outside. Like there might be times that I would put on a fun thing indoors, like borrowing from my sister's clothes, but it was never something that I like thought to wear outside at school at all. I just wore my Bermuda shorts and a t-shirt like every day. I just wore like normal boy clothes and didn't really question that much, even in high school, like all throughout high school. Oh my God, it's Argos. It scared the shoot out of me. It's the dog. I thought it was an intruder. Anyways, like I liked style, but not in a way that I was like exploring with creative expression. And that was all of high school, really. Like I wore jeans, I wore t-shirts, I wore sneakers. I had like a little uniform going. And it was cute, you know, it was fine. I'm not mad about my high school or middle school expression. It was like where I was at the time. That's great. And then college came around, and that is when I started being introduced to like some new ideas about what identity could mean, what gender could mean, what clothing could mean. A big influence was Alok Banan, non-binary trans feminine activist and artist and author, performance artist. I got to see them perform in New York, but when I first was introduced to them, it was just this like opening up, this sort of seed planting idea of clothing and of gender, not as being so like restricted as I had always kind of just assumed it was, that like if you were a boy, you wore boys' clothes, and if you were a girl, you wore girls' clothes. And if you were a boy who wore girls' clothes, that meant like you might want to be a girl. I just had these very sort of simple ideas of gender before that, even though I was very pro, you know, like trans rights and all that. In high school, I didn't have a lot of exposure to like what non-binary meant. And so in college, in the beginning, it was just like expanding of the possibility of what expression could be. And so then I just immediately started wearing a bunch of feminine things and felt so confident and went out and rocked it in the world. And I was like, boom, this is the new me, let's go. Just kidding. It was a really slow progression. Sophomore year really was when I first started any sort of gender feminine exploration. The first example I can actively remember is being in China and buying this fur coat that wasn't like blatantly feminine, but it was definitely in the women's section. And I bought it and just felt like so high on life as I was walking back to my little residence. I was studying there. And I know people were looking at me, but it just felt like so right. It just felt like this pure sense of like, this is fun. It reminded me of being a kid and dressing up and just being playful. I was like, this feels good. What is this? I want more of this. And then also in China, you shopping in the women's section a little bit. Like there was a lot of cool graphic tees there. The women would especially just rock these like really interesting graphic patterns. And so I shopped in the women's sections, and it was really the first time I remember just like blurring the lines of where I was shopping. And it was with t-shirts, so it wasn't like, again, like this immediately obvious feminine transformation that I embarked on. It was this small step of just like blurring these sort of assumptions I had had about identity and gender and expression in a really fun and exciting way. And then that progressed into my junior year when I started exploring a little bit more, like baby steps really. I remember wearing a little bit more jewelry and getting a wig. I got a wig for like a Rocky Horror performance that I watched. I wasn't even in the show, but I was in the audience and wanted to dress up for that. That's actually, I hadn't thought about that, but that was maybe the first ever time that I wore heels out in public. Leave it to a Rocky Horror show, because that just felt like a safe environment where that kind of thing was like encouraged and celebrated. So I remember wearing heels, my sister's, and this like long black shirt and a blue wig that I bought for the event, and wore that out to the Rocky Horror. Turns out, very disappointed, all of San Francisco did not show out. Me and my friends were some of the only ones dressed up, but still it felt like a cool way to get to express something different in like a safe environment. So that was great. And then I had a blue wig, and then from then I like realized that wigs are really fun to wear out. And so I bought a pink, actually I was gifted a pink wig by Natalie, and would wear it mostly indoors and like sometimes I guess to parties, just as like a fun accessory. And then I went to Prague and bought a couple more wigs and would wear them dancing. And throughout all of this, I didn't really think about gender that specifically. It was way more for me just about like creativity and being like having fun with it. One of the biggest takeaways from that initial period of exploration was like a separation of gender from clothing, because I wasn't really in a process of like questioning my gender. I identified as a boy and you know, use he him pronouns, and that just felt fine. But then the clothing aspect, I was like really calling into question, like why is it that I can't wear lipstick, or why is it that I can't wear a wig? Like why does that have to mean so much? And I came to the conclusion slowly that like it didn't have to mean what I was told that it meant all my life. It could just be fun. Like it could truly just be playing dress up. So fast forward to Prague, wearing wigs out to dance, you know, still very masculine presenting, almost all of the time. And then I bought my first dress, and it was a polka dot number. I cut the sleeves off. It was kind of like a 50s housewife dress, blue polka dot, and it just felt so exhilarating. I remember being in the shop and just thinking like, whoa, this is new and scary. And I wondered what the shopkeeper would think of me buying this dress, like who is this for? But they didn't care. It was a little boutique. She was with it. And then I wore it out in public for the very first time. It was my first dress in public experience, other than the Rocky Horror thing. But this was like, I was just going out and like sitting in a park and reading. And I was alone, I had headphones in and like sunglasses and a red beret, I think, and like a bold red lip. And I was just like in my own little zone and totally afraid and scared. I was so nervous to leave the door. I mentioned the sunglasses in the music because that felt like a safe thing to just be in my own little like world. I was not ready yet to just like, you know, strut my stuff and hear the outside sounds and like have people meet my eyes. Like it was a way to kind of self-protect as I embarked on this new explorative journey. But I remember it being so scary and weird and intimidating, and like everyone was looking at me because I had a beard too. So it was clear to me that other people noticed I was doing something different, and it felt exposing. And simultaneously, just like when I had the coat on from China, it felt so right and so true to myself, and just like fully confirmed what I'd then kind of come to believe, which was that clothing can just be fun. It doesn't have to mean something huge or like some grand defying part of yourself. Like, okay, quick pause. What was that sound? Let's run it back. Have to mean simultaneously, I just want to acknowledge that yes, clothing does have real repercussions because of the way that the world interprets it, and especially for people of color that deviate from like standard masculine, feminine norms. It absolutely has real implications, and the feelings that it inspires are real. But the conventions around it and the rules around it are completely made up. Like there is nothing that makes sense about why a man or like a masculine person couldn't wear a dress or lipstick. Like there's no logical, like you can't logic your way through it. It's just made up. It's completely fabricated and upheld by society. And so I was just in Prague. I was in this weird, amazing space of just first like really starting to untangle that and just like free myself of the expectation that I should look like one thing or another, and just like get back to my roots, like start playing dress up again. And it was so fun. I do have a lot of body privilege, and so doing this kind of exploration is safer for me than it is for a lot of other people. But I can only talk from my own perspective, so just bear that in mind. So Prague happened, and I was just starting to feel like more flowy and free and able to create myself in the way that was fun. And then I went to New York for a summer, and baby steps again. You know, I bought another dress thing. It was actually a shirt that I wore as a dress. And I bought my first pair of heels that I wore around New York sometimes. Learned the struggle of how painful those are, yet also empowering. Wore a little bit more like makeup stuff, but still like to work, I was completely masculine, presenting. Oh, I mean, it was still like almost all the time I would just wear like boy clothes. And then I would have these fun nights out where I would wear more feminine stuff. And I was celebrated for it. And also, of course, in New York, you get a mixed bag, whoever you are. So I definitely got stares and laughs and weird comments and like people taking pictures of me. So it was, again, this simultaneous, like scary and thrilling and exciting and raw and right feeling. Then senior year, I started blurring it more into like my everyday wear, where I would wear, for sure, more jewelry. I would wear like white heeled boots that I got for Christmas to class sometimes. It just felt like after, you know, 2 years pretty much since that first coat experience in China, it felt like just I'm weaving it into my everyday life. Still, like I would mostly wear masculine things, and that felt fine also. It took a while for me to like fully feel like it was fine to enjoy masculine and feminine, and that I didn't have to like choose between one or the other. Like I could just be comfortable in jeans and a t-shirt, and I could be comfortable in a dress, and different ways of being comfortable. And then I graduated, and now I'm here almost, you know, probably like 9 months it's been since I graduated from senior year, so about full 3 years plus since that first China coat experience. And now my style is still evolving. I'm still figuring out fun things to wear and how to express myself and getting a little bit more into makeup and all of that. So my style has evolved slowly, okay? I really just want to emphasize that. There was little benchmarks along the way. There was like my first coat experience, my first time wearing heels, my first time wearing lipstick to class, the first time that I wore something feminine in front of my boyfriends. That was a big, like, scary new benchmark. And all of these little benchmark things built up to get where I am now. But now I'm at a place where I can so confidently say to anyone that if you have an interest in expressing yourself, you can do the work to shed yourself of your own expectations. You cannot control how other people around you react, but you can do the work so that your own internal expectation of yourself is loosened a bit. And that was the biggest thing for me. It wasn't about other people's reaction to myself. It was always about my own reaction to my expression or my identity that really mattered, and I really had to like kind of let go of a little bit. I had to just expand my own idea of who I was. And I know that you all can too. I encourage everyone to just try creating themselves however that works for you. Little baby steps will add up into progress that you will be like dumbfounded by. You look back and think like, oh my goodness, how did I get here? That's amazing. And it won't be all at once. It'll be these like little scary steps, but it is possible. Yeah, if you have thoughts, questions, comments, concerns, like whatever, please feel free to reach out. I want to be a resource. I want to encourage everyone, and I want to celebrate, and I want to support and uplift. I know these things can be really scary and like a lot harder and more complicated depending on your circumstances. Yes, however I can help or guide or assist or support you, let me know. I would love to. I want to see the world be a more freer, fun, self-expressive place. And so, yeah, please use me, ask me, talk to me, and check in with me next time. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a lovely day, and I will see you all soon. Mwah. Bye.